Hello, YouTubers. Excuse me. I'm going to do a quick edit on this just to show you a feature of Photoshop I really like. This came about from a chat I was having with somebody who was worried their camera or their lens wasn't working properly. They said their images weren't sharp, they weren't punchy, they looked a bit fuzzy around the edges. The thing is, if you're going to shoot in RAW, you've got to appreciate that that's what you're getting. You're getting a raw file. You're getting absolutely nothing applied to it. It's kind of like you've been given the ingredients to make a dish. You have to put them together into something to make the finished image. Raw files don't look good. Nothing's been applied in camera. No sharpening, no contrast, nothing. So it's your job as the photographer then just to post process it, and this is how this came about. And this is the image. It's a raw file. He wasn't very happy with how it looked, and that's because you're looking at a raw image. So I did a quick edit, sent it back. He seemed to like it, so let's hope that we can just recreate what I did. Now this is just going to be quick. There's lots of different looks you can put to a photo like this, lots of different ways of doing it. This is just to show you just the basics of editing a raw file, and this new feature I like in Photoshop as well. So this is in RAW, Camera Raw. Camera Raw and Lightroom are the exact same thing, pretty much same features to do the soft edits on things. So let's just take you through what I did. Just want to say that the photographer's done a great job here because they've shot to the right. And when you're going to work with a RAW file, that's where you want the histogram to be. You want everything up in the highlights so that you've got the detail to edit. So I always work from top to bottom. First thing we're going to look is white balance. It looks fine to me. Obviously, if you got your white balance wrong and you had it set to flash the time you took the photo, then it's not going to look great. Or it hasn't really changed it much, to be honest. Fluorescent, maybe that's the one. There you go. If you'd shot in fluorescent, it would have looked horrible. Oh, that looks pretty cool. But let's just go a shot because I don't think there was an issue with the white balance. Plus, what we're going to do later in Photoshop will counteract any of that anyway. So just bring the exposure down a little bit. We've shot to the right, so we'll bring a bit more back detail into the highlight areas. We're going to be playing with that in a bit. And we'll just add some contrast into it as well, because no contrast gets applied on RAW. And you want to be in contrast, especially when you've got buildings and stuff. So whenever there's sky, I always bring the highlights down. Don't know why, but I'm pretty much going to -100 in most of the shots I do. So, but it's personal taste. But that's what you can see when it's done. You can see a little bit more of the clouds. But we are starting to create some shadow areas around here as well, so we'll just bring that out. It used to be called a recovery slider. It's now called shadow, so we'll bring that out a little bit. Whites and blacks. I don't usually touch them too much. I do touch blacks a lot. I very rarely touch whites because I'm usually shooting people and it doesn't do well on the skin, but with landscapes, I suppose it does. The way to do that is you hit the Alt key and then click on the whites and it'll black out the screen, and you just slide it up to the right until you start seeing whites appear. And there we go. Take that out. It's those buildings down there. Same thing with the blacks. Hit the Alt key, click on the blacks and everything goes white, and you just drag it down to the left until the blacks start to come in to the photo, which is about there. And there we go. And already we're starting to see a vast improvement in the photo. I personally like to see a little bit more colour. I like colourful images, so I'll probably put about maybe 10 on the saturation. And vibrance. We'll bring the vibrance up with that. Vibrance is a really cool slider. Difference between vibrance and saturation. Vibrance touches the colours that aren't very colourful and brings them up, but doesn't touch the ones that are already colourful. So as you see, the whole photo starts to get more colourful as I bring the vibrance up and down. As you can see, brings a lot of blue into the sky. But watch these buildings down here, which are already quite colourful. They're not really changing that much. So that's what vibrance does. We'll just bring it somewhere, and that's fine. So we'll open the image in Photoshop just to show the two things I do in there. The first thing I do in Photoshop is I sharpen my images. I never sharpen them in Camera Raw or Lightroom. And anybody who's seen my tutorials before, let's just fit this to the screen, is I duplicate the layer. The filter I use is high pass. And I must admit, I used to go quite heavy on this, but now I've toned it back a bit. I usually look for a number somewhere between 1 and 3. It's at 2.4 at the moment, so that's pretty cool. We can see the detail here in the photo, so we'll run with that. But you'll find your own personal taste. And there we've got this layer here, and then we just need to bring the sharpness into the photo, so we'll change the blend mode to overlay. And there we go. Much punchier. The last thing I did is this new thing in Photoshop. I think it was introduced in CS6, which I have, and it should be there in CC as well, down in this panel here. And what you're looking for is color lookup. When you open color lookup, you get all these presets of filters that you can apply to the image that really do look quite cool. So if you want to make the photo look like it was moonlit and it was a night shot, there you go. The one I actually used for this one was fall colors, which I love this in landscapes and cityscapes. Click on that, and there we go. And that's what I did to the image. Hope you enjoyed that. Play around. Like I said, that was just a quick image, and I'm getting a raw file looking a bit more vibrant, a bit sharper, a bit more punchy and contrast there. Hope you enjoyed it.